Really? Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. My name is Mustafa. I'm the Imam of the Anatolia Islamic Center in Mississauga. So it's my pleasure and honor to be with you every fourth Thursday of the month to share with you some thoughts about, inshallah, I'll focus on the topic that we'll be talking about, but I have to start with a story. Everyone loves stories. And I'm going to keep my talk short and sweet like me. So I know a brother from Egypt who lived in a small village. Who is here from Egypt? Raise your hand. MashaAllah, takbir. Okay. So I know a brother from Egypt who was born in a small village with no potential of getting any education, like the rest of his family. Sometimes there are things we take for granted. So this brother didn't have any potential of going to school. His mother put up a very big fight for him to go to school. So he ended up going to school, to Al-Azhar, to study Islam in Arabic. And he was the first one ever of his family to get an education. At the age of 12, he completed his hifz of the Quran. He graduated high school. He went to college to study Islam in English. Good? Good? Not good. Why? Because he wanted to study Islam in English. There was one big problem. His English was in the basement. So he went to school to study Islamic studies in English, and his English was terrible because in high school at Al-Azhar, they didn't have qualified English-speaking teachers to teach them English. So what ended up happening, they ruined his English. So every time he would read something in class, at college, his teachers would ask him to be quiet, and his friends will make fun of him. Big problem. So I'm going to give you a flavor of his English in high school, how they taught him to speak. So one word that this brother spoke was stomach. Stomach. Can anyone tell me what stomach means? Yes? Stomach, exactly. If you go to the doctor and tell him, I have a problem in my stomach, he doesn't know what you're talking about, right? So this is how they taught him to say stomach. Stomach. The food is delicious. Delicious. I have, delicious, yes. I have extensive experience. I speak a very good language. Language, right? So his English was horrible, miserable. So one day he decided to do something about it. Yes, there was a problem, but what are you going to do about it? So this brother was not a whiner. He didn't whine. One thing we know from the Quran, from Surah Ibrahim, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَإِن كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. If you are grateful to Allah, Allah will give you more to thank for. If you whine, He will give you more to whine about. I want you, everyone here, to frame this, put it in your house. If you thank, He will give you more to thank for. If you whine, He will give you more to whine about. So he decided to do something about it. So there was a brother, Brother Muhammad, one of the top students in class. He was staying at the dorm. So he said, okay, I'm going to approach this brother. We're going to talk in English like 15, 20 minutes every day, and this will help me, my level of spoken English. So I said, Brother Muhammad, can we please talk in English so this will help me with English? So Muhammad said, I don't think so. Your English is so terrible. If I speak to you in English, this will ruin my English. Thank you. Shut the door. Bye-bye. So that night, this brother that I'm talking to you about, he felt like he got a kick in the face, right? We have this saying in the village, when you get a kick from behind, shalut, or from Egypt we call it shalut. If you get a shalut from behind, it shouldn't make you fall down, it should give you a boost, it should push you forward. So that night, this brother got the biggest shalut of his life. Shalud is a good word. When you go to Egypt, you can use the word and they say, oh, mashallah, he speaks Egyptian. But anyway, so he said, am I that bad? No one is willing to talk to me in English? Ya Allah. And he prayed Ishaa and he prayed Witr and he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, Ya Allah, Anta Rabbul Alameen. You created the heavens, you created the earth, the galaxies, the moon and the stars, you created everything. It is not difficult for you. وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. It's not difficult for you if you help me speak English. I'm going to make a promise to you right now. If you help me speak good English, I'm going to use it for da'wah, fi sabilillah, to invite people to Islam. So every night he would sleep with the BBC in his ears. It's 10 p.m. and this is the news. That's how I speak British English. So over the next 3 years, he has read all the novels he could put his hands on. He has been watching the news. He has been listening to the BBC and all these news channels. So after 3 years, this brother graduated, not only the top of his class, he was the top of the entire department. And within a few months, he was appointed as a professor at the same department to teach Islam in English, Islamic studies. Brother Muhammad, who had initially refused to help this brother with his English, failed in the last year. One thing I learned from this story, the story is not over yet. One thing I learned from this story, if you think you're there at the top, there is nothing to improve, you're the best, everyone else is down there and you're up there, there's nothing else you need to learn, then you're going down a big time. There's always something new to learn. Tajweed, Quran, learn a new language, computers, learn anything. Set a goal for yourself and you try to achieve it. So, for the next 10 years, this brother has taught Islamic studies at Al-Azhar. He finished his bachelor's, his master's, he got his PhD in Islamic studies. Then in 2007, he left. He came to North America as an imam in the US and Canada. And this brother did a fantastic... Where's my jacket? So this brother did an amazing translation of the Quran. It's called The Clear Quran. So Canada has been around for almost, 150 years? So his translation, The Clear Quran, is the first English translation of the Quran ever in the history of Canada. So, history in the making. So this brother made a fantastic translation, mainly for the youth. And if you'd like to read the translation, go to Quran.com. It's called The Clear Quran. You can download it to your app or your phone and you can read the translation. Quran.com/apps. So, I've known this brother my whole life. When he was born 40 years ago, I was there when he was born. When he got married 11 years ago, I was there for his wedding. And every morning when I look at the mirror, I see this brother, because this is my story, and this brother is me. Takbir! Barakallahu feek. So, from now on, I don't want you to tell me stories about I can't do it, it is difficult, it is impossible. If I'm able to speak English, you can learn anything. You can learn Arabic, you can learn Urdu, you can learn Turkish, you can learn Tajweed, you can memorize Quran, you can do anything. Two conditions. You work hard, you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I worked hard, when with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I was able to do some good things. And alhamdulillah, over the last 10, 11 years, I've given shahada to hundreds of people. So I'm trying to fulfill my promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how was I able to do it? Knowledge. You learn something. So when I was invited to speak to you, the fourth Thursday of every month, I decided to talk about this series of knowledge in Islam. I'm going to make it fun, informative, and entertaining. Those who know me and those who go to the masjid all the time get two things from me. Number one, they get good stories and jokes. And number two, they get diabetes because I give out a lot of candy. Okay. So, I will be talking about the fard knowledge that everyone should have. Whether you have a PhD from UFT, or even if you can't read or write, you have to have this knowledge. So, what is this fard knowledge that every one of you should have? I'm going to start with the three main types of knowledge, then I'm going to talk about the fard knowledge that every Muslim should have. So, is it okay if you become a hacker? If you study to become a hacker? You access people's accounts, bank accounts, and you steal their information and you steal their money.
It's good to like learn how to code and stuff, but some people use their abilities to hack,
Okay, Jazakallah.
which is better.
Okay, halal or haram? Haram, okay. Jazakallah khair. Okay, sorry. So, there are three types of knowledge. The first type of knowledge is the haram knowledge. No one should study this knowledge. Unless, for example, they learn it to warn people. Yani say, for example, why should I study black magic? To cast spells on people and turn people into roaches and mice and make them miserable, like in the movies, right? This is haram knowledge. But if you learn it just to warn people and stop magicians from harming people, there's nothing wrong in this case. Learning how to make alcohol, same thing. Ras al-shari, belly dancing, right? Why would you learn this, right? So all of this is haram knowledge. Learning how to, break into people's homes, or hacking people's accounts, stealing their money. This is all haram. This is not allowed in Islam. It's haram knowledge, unless, of course, say for example, if you study about poison. Yes, I study about poison to make sure that people don't die from poison, in this case. So this is the first type of knowledge, which is haram knowledge. The second type of knowledge, which is al-ilm al-mubah. Ilm al-mubah is permissible knowledge. So if I'm going to ask some of the brothers and sisters here, what would you like to be when you graduate, inshallah?
Not sure.
Okay, not sure. Any options? Not yet?
Not
Okay. This brother?
I like business and dealing with money, and I also like some person I was thinking about being some coach and manager.
That's good, mashallah. And one sister? What would you like to be? Anyone? Any volunteers? Yes?
Sorry, I actually just have a question. So I heard that if you go into law, it's haram.
Okay. So I'm going to answer the questions at the end, right? I'll take all the questions at the end, inshallah. But this will be the first question. Yeah, so if someone wants to be a lawyer, okay. Another brother? Yes? An engineer, mashallah. Another sister? What would you like to be? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. So, you guys don't have any hopes in life? You don't want to achieve something or learn something new? I'm sure you have some ideas and some thoughts, but anyway, the ulama say, if you learn, for example, engineering to become an engineer, or if you learn medicine to become a doctor, or a chef to be a cook, or you learn whatever, just to make people's lives easy and to serve them in whatever capacity you can, then this by itself is an act of worship in Islam, right? But of course, you make sure you pray on time, you fast the right way. Anything you do, if you go to the gym to exercise to have a good, strong body, this is an act of worship in Islam. Any field that you study to make people's lives easy, this is an act of worship in Islam. However, as I said, this is permissible knowledge. It's up to you if you would like to become a doctor, engineer, Uber driver, dentist, a chef, but please don't become an imam because your life will be miserable. I'll tell you why. People give me a hard time, especially when divorce rates are going through the ceiling. Everyone wants to divorce, brothers and sisters. So they come to me, they come to my office, they call, they send a fax, they put a letter in a bottle and they throw it in the ocean. They're all over the place. Can I divorce my wife? Can I divorce my husband? I'm afraid when I go home and I open the fridge, they're going to come out and, oh, can I divorce? Get out. I remember one time, Salatul Eid, the day of Eid, everyone is happy, balloons are all over the place, candy. I was going to lead Salah and do khutbah, and this brother stopped me, I have a question, brother. You have to answer me, I need counseling right now. And I said, okay, can we talk after khutbah? No, right now. Okay, what do you want? Can I divorce my wife right now? Another time, wallahi, another time. Jummah, I was going to give khutbah and someone stopped me on the way. Imam, I have a question. I can't sleep at night. I need to know the answer. Okay, what's the question? The question is about jinn. Okay. Do they give birth or they lay eggs? Brothers and sisters, this is why imams like myself, they die young. 40 years old, 45 years old, blood pressure, heart attacks, and they die. So look for a meaningful job. Look for a good job, right? So look for a good job, right? So it's up to you. It's up to you to choose a field of study. If you'd like to become a teacher, a doctor, a counselor, whatever job you want, an Uber driver, it's up to you to choose your field. I would say 95% of the time it's up to you. Because if you come from my culture or from India and Pakistan, sometimes you don't have a choice. Because your dad will tell you, Ya Habibi, I want you to be a doctor like your uncle. If you say, but dad, I want to be a chef. خباز طباخ اطلع برا بيتي يا جماعة. You are getting zero of my inheritance, nothing. And your mom will come and say, Ya Habibi, you know, honey, I want you to become an engineer like your grandfather. And if you say, but I want to be like a computer scientist or whatever, you are not my son, get out of my house, right? But anyway, Islamically, this is permissible knowledge. You choose the field, and of course, my piece of advice, if you'd like to get into something and study something to become successful, there are two requirements. Number one, you have to have the ability, and number two, you have to have the desire to do something and to succeed at something. And subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ, this is one of the most amazing hadith that I read. The Prophet ﷺ understood this. He understood that if you'd like to succeed at something, you have to have the desire and you have to have the knowledge. Al-Abbas, can anyone tell me who Al-Abbas was? Who is Al-Abbas? Raise your hand if you know. Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib.
Oh, I know.
He was related to the Prophet ﷺ, yes? Did he get a candy?
Yeah.
Can we get someone else? Yes? So he was the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, Jazakallah, right answer. Nice catch. So Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu, in this authentic hadith, he came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, amirni, I would like to become a governor, a mayor. And the Prophet ﷺ said, sorry, you can't. You have the desire, but you don't have the administrative ability. It's a long hadith, but he told him you can't. His uncle, and he said you can't do it. So if you like to succeed at something, you have to love it, and you have to be able to do it. And of course, there has to be a demand in the market. There has to be a demand in the market for this job. Because if you learn something and there's no demand, you'll end up doing nothing. You will just sit at home. Questions at the end? Yes? Yeah, at the end. So, I'll give you a lot of time at the end, inshallah, for questions and answers. The ulama say, if you choose a field of study, if you choose to be a teacher, a doctor, so on and so forth, you have to be the best in the field. Yes, choosing a field is optional, but once you are specialized in a certain field, a heart doctor, a dentist, an engineer, the people who build bridges and roads, you have to be the best in your field, and you have to learn as much as you can. Otherwise, if you become a doctor and you don't know nothing about medicine, you'll end up killing more people than Hitler did in World War II, right? So you have to be knowledgeable about your field. So we spoke about the haram knowledge, we spoke about the halal knowledge, permissible knowledge, and finally, and this is the focus of my talk inshallah, the fard knowledge that every Muslim should have. So what is the fard knowledge that everyone should have, whether they are not educated or not? The fard knowledge that every Muslim should have, which will be the focus of my talks in the next few months inshallah. has something to do with the three questions we get in the grave. Can anyone tell me what is the first question you get in the grave? Raise your hand. Yes, bro?
Who's your God?
Who is your God? Who is your God? Ahsant. Question number 2. Yes? Who is your prophet? Jazakallah khair. Gotcha. جنب العارضة. Question number 3. This brother?
What's your religion?
What's your religion? Ahsant. Barakallah fiqh. Question number 1. Who is your God? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Question number 2. Who is your prophet? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If your name is Muhammad, you're going to digress a little bit. If your name is Muhammad, you have to be proud of your name. Oh, but my name is long. It's not longer than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know how to spell it. It's a long name. He is very proud of his name, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, very long names, right? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a beautiful name. So please stop calling yourself Mo. Because if they ask you in the grave, who's your prophet, and you say Mo, wrong answer, right? And when you go for hisab, judgment, and you look for someone to make shafa for you, I'm looking for someone by the name of Mo, nowhere to be found, right? So you should be proud of your name. So your God, Allah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Islam. So basically we'll talk about 3 things. We'll talk about your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His beautiful names, because most of the names are not understood, or they are misunderstood. Like Al-Jabbar, for example. When you hear the word Jabbar, tyrant, right? No, this is not the meaning of the name of Al-Jabbar. Al-Mutakabbir, the arrogant. Come on, man. It has nothing to do with takabbur, arrogance. It's misunderstood. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means something else. So the beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How to get to know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you cannot, quite frankly, you cannot love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you don't know Him. So if you know His beautiful names, and if you know what He wants from you, and how you can worship Him, you will love Him more. So number 2, we'll talk about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his sunnah, his adab, and his akhlaq, and how we can follow his example. Number 3, the knowledge of Islam is halal and haram. Can I become a lawyer? What about this? What about that? And so on and so forth. So we will learn about halal and haram. Dating and all these issues and the challenges you guys face here. Is this permissible or permissible in Islam? So we're going to cover these issues. So why do I talk about these things? Well, as an imam for the last 10, 11 years, yes, knowledge is everywhere. If you have an iPhone or Samsung, you have encyclopedias under your fingertips. Believe me, I'm not exaggerating if I tell you that some of you have access, more access than some of the Sahaba and the Tabi'un. Because some of them, they used to travel, they were not there all the time, they didn't know all the hadith, they didn't know all the fiqh. Like Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he would be asked a question and he would say, well, I don't know, and he will ask someone else, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and they will give him the answer. But we have encyclopedias of fiqh, hadith, and seerah under your fingertips. But still, till this day, people make mistakes in ibadah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to worship Him and to be grateful to Him. And I'll talk about this in detail one day, inshallah. But we still make mistakes in wudu. We make mistakes in salah. We make mistakes in sawm. We make mistakes in hajj and umrah and so on. And I'll give you some examples. These are true stories. Right? So, for example, shahada. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Part of your knowledge of La ilaha illallah is to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. So there was a guy, I call him a zombie dude. A zombie dude. So some people, they come and they don't have the proper knowledge. So this guy, he used to do bad things in the past. He used to sell drugs and do terrible things. And at some point, he decided to make tawbah, alhamdulillah. And he built a masjid from the drugs money. Whether people should pray there or not, this is a different story. So some people, they didn't pray in the masjid because the money was from haram, from drugs, and people used to call it al-masjid al-haram, the haram masjid. So anyway, after his salah, he would, pray with the people, and after his salah, he used to make this dua. He would say, Allahumma ghfir li dhunubi. He didn't have the knowledge. Allahumma ghfir li dhunubi ma alimta minha wa ma lam ta'lam. Can anyone give me a translation of this dua? Translation? Someone new? Candy? Yes? Exactly. Did you get a candy before? Okay. Nice glasses. What is wrong with this dua? Anyone? What's wrong with this dua? Yes?
Because God knows everything.
Yes. Ahsant. Barakallah. Did you get a candy?
No.
Okay. Okay. Barakallah fiqh. Ikhlas. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. It tells us in the Quran, in Surah Taha, Allahu ya'lamu sirra wa akhfa. Allah knows secrets, and what is even more hidden than a secret. And what is more hidden than a secret is a secret before it becomes a secret. Right? So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. Another thing about Salah, I know a brother, and he told me, I'm going crazy. I said, what's your problem? And he said, I forget tashahhud in the second rak'ah. I'm praying Dhuhr, I'm praying Asr by myself, and I miss the tashahhud in the second rak'ah. I stand up for a third and I forget tashahhud. So what does he do? He starts salah all over again. And he goes crazy, and his life is difficult, right? And one thing you know, if you learn the three things that I spoke about, if you learn about Allah, the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and halal and haram, your life becomes easy. Because Sunnah is about making your life easy. If you don't have the knowledge, your life will become difficult. You'll be very uptight. So I said, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you miss the tashahhud in the second rak'ah, continue your salah and make sajda at the end. And the best thing to do, of course, if you pray with a jama'ah. Because if you pray with the imam, you will not miss the tashahhud because you follow the imam. This is the solution. Another example, I was in Clemson, South Carolina. I was there for an imam for a number of years. So there was this sister, she had been Muslim for a couple of years. So one day I visited their masjid, I gave a talk, and after the talk, questions and answers. Okay, what do you want? And she said, I have a question. They gave her a book when she took Shahada, and this is the problem we have seen with a lot of new Muslims. So they come to the masjid to take Shahada, we give them the Shahada, Ashhadu, Ashhadu, Takbir, we hug them and we kiss them. And they will tell us, I've never been hugged or kissed that many times in my life, right? So after we hug them, we kiss them, Takbir, Takbir, we throw them in the street, we are not teaching them anything. This is the sad reality. We give them some booklets on Islam. So the sister got the booklet on Islam. How to pray, how to fast, how to do different things. And she said, I'm just following the book. They didn't have a formal imam at the time, so she used to read the book and just apply. She said, this is how I fast in the month of Ramadan. I wake up in the morning, I have my meal. My doctor said 1 fruit. So I follow my doctor precisely, so I have 1 fruit for my iftar, which is a watermelon. 1 fruit. So then I continue my fast until Maghrib. Is my fasting valid? And I said, I have a question for you. What time do you wake up for iftar, sahar in the morning? She said, well, it depends. Sometimes 10:30, sometimes 11. Ya aini alayki. So she wakes up almost dhuhr time for sahur. Because the book says you wake up in the morning, you eat, continue till Maghrib. So for the last 2 years, she has been fasting wrong. Right? She has been fasting wrong. Does she have to repeat all her fast again? The answer is no. Because she didn't have the knowledge. And ignorance is an excuse in Islam. But now she is trying to seek knowledge. If you move to a new house and you have been praying for 2-3 months, you have this compass, the app on your phone, Qibla direction. Okay, you put the postal code, and it says, okay, pray this way. You have been praying for 2 months. Then the imam comes to visit, biryani or something. They come to visit. Oh, subhanallah, the Qibla is wrong. You have been praying for 2 months towards Vancouver, not Mecca, Vancouver. Laha. Do you have to repeat salah again? No, because you didn't know, right? So I said, khalas, from now on, يَسْرِ الْحُكْمِ مِنْ وَقْتِ الْعِلْمِ. Once you learn, you have to apply. What is past, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive because you didn't know. One last example, Umrah. So, if you follow Taraweeh from Mecca and Medina, you know, when Shuraim and Sudais or Huzaifi and they read in Taraweeh, you see the subtitled translation? So alhamdulillah, about 15 years ago, I was a member of a group that did this translation from Mecca and Medina, live from Mecca and Medina. So, there was this brother Abdu, he was with us. So we decided to do Umrah Ramadan. You get the reward of Hajj, inshallah. So, and the masjid, those of you who have been to Mecca to do Umrah in Ramadan, it's packed. There are so many people there. So we decided to do Umrah together. So we're there doing tawaf and everything. So after we finished, we decided to kiss the black stone. Alhamdulillah. It was so packed, and I didn't want to push people to just kiss the black stone. You don't have to if you can't. All of a sudden, these 3 brothers, I assumed they were from Nigeria, from Kenya, big brothers, mashallah, big muscles like this, like Muhammad Ali, like mashallah. And they pushed away, 3 of them, and I found myself behind them. So they were pushing their way towards the black stone because most likely they will never come back to Mecca, so this is their only chance. And I was behind them. Do you see, those of you who follow Mr. Bean, he's always after the ambulance. Even in red light, Mr. Bean is behind, right? I did the same thing. They opened the way for me, they finished, and I found myself inside the black stone, and I kissed it. And I remember Abdul, my friend, was with me. After I finished, where's Abdul? Nowhere to be found. La hawla. So I went outside, to the other side, they have the golden door of the Kaaba. I don't have a picture here, but they have a golden door, and under the golden door, العتبة خضراء كده, there is a green step under the golden door. And Abdul was there all by himself. He was kissing this العتبة الخضراء, this green step under the golden door. I said, Abdul, what are you doing, man? आपके साथ कोई मुश्किल है? Does anyone speak Urdu here? MashaAllah. Takbir. I love biryani, so मैं अच्छी Urdu बोलता हूँ. But not spicy biryani like Jahannam, just the mild one. What are you doing, man? And he said, I'm kissing the black stone. قلت له يا بقرة. Number 1, it's not the stone. And number 2, it's green, not black. What's wrong with you? People are fighting on the other side to kiss the black stone. And you're here all by yourself, and you think you're kissing the black stone. So after we returned to Egypt, I used to ask him, Abdul, what color is the black stone? And he always said, of course, green. Right? But anyway, so people make mistakes all the time about ibadat, and I think it's about time to get this one right. To learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to learn about the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to learn about halal and haram. So I'm going to stop here. We'll continue next time inshallah, but we're going to open the floor for questions and answers. So the first question about a lawyer, right? In Islam, you can always do things the right way or the wrong way. Like say for example, if I become Qari al-Quran, or if I become an imam, and my sole intention is to do something bad, to steal something, or to do something wrong, or to cheat people. My son, Ziyad, 8 years old, one day I asked him, Ziyad, what would you like to become? And he said, I would like to become a police officer. I said, why? Masri huwa. Why? He said, because عشان أحط الناس في السجن. Because I want to put people in jail. Takbir, mashallah. Get out. So the niyyah. If my niyyah, when I become a lawyer, to stand up for people's rights, if someone is mazloom, they have been treated unjustly, I'm going to establish justice and help them get what is rightfully theirs, this is totally acceptable. But if I become a lawyer just to support the oppressor against the oppressed and do something haram and take something that is not rightfully mine, in this case it's haram. And the same thing applies to anyone. In the field of science, you can study science to help people find solutions or treatment for cancer, for example, or diabetes, or something else. Or you can study medicine to learn how to make an atomic bomb and hurt people and kill them, right? So we have the two different types of scientists, for example. Yeah, there's nothing wrong if you study, the atom, and if you study different things in a legal way to know how to serve humanity and protect people from certain things. There's nothing wrong. It all goes back to the intention. I hope this answers the question.
No questions?
Yeah, we'll take one question from the brothers and one question from the sisters. It's your turn, guys. I think this brother had a question? Yes.
Isn't Al-Abbas the one who started the Mamlaka al-Abbasiyya?
Well, Al-Abbas was the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, and in the Islamic history we have two dynasties. There was the Umayyad family, and there is Al-Abbas family. So the Umayyad family is related to Bani Umayyah, and Al-Abbas is related to Bani Al-Abbas, and Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu was one of them. So there are two tribes from Quraysh, and these dynasties are related to them. Barakallahu feek. Another question?
Guys, it's important to ask questions because we might think that you need to know about A, Y, or Z, and you want to know about B, C, and D. Like, please tell us from your questions. We'll be able to serve you better. And inshallah, mashallah, the Sheikh is one of the great ones who answers questions and straightforward. What concerns you, whether it is related to the topic or not directly related to the topic. So please speak out.
Yeah, feel free to ask any question. Don't be shy. Inshallah ta'ala. Yes, bro.
Will be teaching Sirah, or anybody will be giving Sirah, and we said because they will be asking about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the grave. And if we don't know much about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how are we going to follow the Sunnah?
Yes. So I spoke to the other imams. So I will be teaching about the fard knowledge about Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and halal and haram. And one of the shuyukh will be talking about the seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and someone will be talking about aqidah. So every sheikh, there are 4 or 5 of us, and everyone will be talking about something, a specific topic, to make it, informative, and also to teach different branches in Islam.
Every Thursday we have different topic with different shaykh. So today you talk about something different about this Saturday.
Yeah. So every Thursday a different sheikh, and every sheikh will have their own theme. Jazakallah. Another question? Another question?
The second question.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be easier for the youth, honestly, with this age, my son is here, alhamdulillah. Maybe it'd be easier for them to write that question.
So this is a good idea.
That's okay, guys. We have paper. If we want to write question,
It could be, for example, it's ways. Sometimes maybe that's the way you can express himself easier without being put on the spot.
Bi-idhnillah. I know some of you are shy. If you're shy, you can write down the question and send it to me.
Maybe we can go drag him a question to ask.
Yeah, we have a question here.
Okay, bro.
anybody need paper?
Yes. Every Thursday there's a different sheikh. So one time Sheikh Hussam, you met him last week. Imam Hussam, amazing imam. Then Imam Dawood Bat, fantastic imam. Then
Next week, inshallah, Sheikh Riyadh.
Sheikh Riyadh Khurzazi from Milton, an amazing imam. So every week there is a fantastic imam, which shows the best for you. Inshallah. Two last questions, inshallah. Okay. Salam.
I have a question that's not necessarily related to what you're
No problem.
Like how when someone says don't do something somewhere because if you do X might happen. I don't like when an atheist person and someone who's not Muslim, that makes a religion look very kind of like pointed. Because it's something that someone else does that has negative effect on what I do.
Okay. Jazakallah. Kendi? So the question, the question is about ayn, about hasad, envy. And the sister is saying from a non-Muslim perspective, hasad does not make sense for, at least for non-Muslims. So we have this issue because, yes, al-hasad is mentioned in the Quran. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. So hasad is there, hasad is a reality. But is every hardship or difficulty you face in life comes from hasad, that someone made hasad to you? Not really. Because people come to me, my son failed in the exams. Hasad. The sucker doesn't study. He doesn't go to school. He doesn't do his homework. He's not mahsood. He's, I don't know. Yeah, he's not doing his part. Yeah, my daughter was divorced twice. Hasad. No. She's always talking back to her husband and she's fighting with him and she's giving him a hard time. Right? And so on and so forth. You know, my husband doesn't stay in the house. Mahsood. No, you're making his life a living hell.
Oh, she's scratching her skin. I said, just take a shower, it will be good.
Yeah. Yeah. So most of the time it has nothing to do with hasad. Yes, some cases we know, but in some cases it doesn't have anything to do with hasad. Whether a non-Muslim believes in hasad or not, because sometimes some concepts are not very clear to them and they don't know the concept of hasad and jinn and sihr and so on and so forth. But as long as it is mentioned in the Quran and in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, we believe it is the truth. And we have a solution for it, ruqyan, so on and so forth. But should I blame everything on hasad? That every time I face a problem, Jazakallah khair. Yeah. So, not every problem you face in your life is related to hasad. If my business failed, it doesn't mean that you're mahsood. It means maybe you didn't do your best, right? And so on and so forth. So we shouldn't blame everything on hasad in this case.
Sheikh, if you allow me, please.
Yes.
I receive a few questions every now and then from some of the youth, including my own kids, about the belief in the non-seed. So extending from al-hasad to what we spoke about before, dealing with people who, strongly argue the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal, of God. So maybe touch a bit on this.
Barakallah fiqh. So, Jazakallah khair. So some people, they say we don't believe in something unless we see it. You cannot prove, Jazakallah, you cannot prove hasad, for example, because this is something we cannot see. We cannot believe in the jinn because we cannot see, right? And they say, some of them, the atheists, for example, they say the same thing about Allah. We don't believe in Allah because we cannot see God. We cannot experience Him or her or it with our five senses. This is what they say. We don't see God, we don't smell God, we don't touch God, we don't squeeze God, we don't taste God with our tongues. So it doesn't exist. And I remember one time, there was a professor in the US, we had a meeting together, and I think he was the head of the religion department. He was teaching about Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and he was an atheist. He didn't believe in God. And I said, he asked me, can you prove to me that God exists? And I said, yes, I will answer you with a question. I don't have to tell you or give you a proof that God exists, but can you please give me a proof that God doesn't exist? Find a proof. They say, well, we don't see Him. Okay. I told him, what is the difference? What is the difference? Can I get two people? I'll get this brother. Come here. And this brother here. MashaAllah. So, do you have insurance? Yeah, the universal insurance. I'm going to push you down, and you will fall on the floor, and you just die, right? It's fake. thinking. Now die, relax, close your eyes. Yeah, they usually spread their feet when they die. MashaAllah. So this brother is alive and this brother is dead. What is the difference between the two?
One's alive,
Yeah, what is the difference?
he's smiling.
Yeah, this one is smiling. Come on, man, no. This one has a soul. This one doesn't. Has anyone ever seen his soul? No. So I told the brother, Khalas, wake up. Jazakallah. Takbir, we'll give you the Oscars. Jazakallah. So I told the brother, based on everything you said, because I've never seen your soul, you're dead. He said, no, I'm alive, but I've never seen your soul. No. There are a lot of things that exist we cannot see. I cannot see electricity. I see the impact of electricity, which is light, but I cannot see electricity. I cannot see wireless internet, but I see the impact. If I don't see something, or if I don't know where it is, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. حتى في القاعدة الأصولية بيقولوا ليس عدم العلم علما بالعدم. In other words, if I don't know that someone or something, if I don't know someone or something, it doesn't mean they don't exist. Say for example, my phone. Yeah, they took my jacket. So the guy from China who made my cell phone, 99%, it has to be a guy from China. Everything is made in China. But anyway, the guy who made the cell phone, have you ever met the guy from China who made your phone? Or your camera, this camera? I don't know who he is or she is. I don't know where they live. I don't know what they look like. So someone will say, this guy doesn't exist because I don't know them. If you don't know someone or something, if you don't know where they are or how they look like, it doesn't mean they don't exist. You don't have the knowledge, right? So, some certain things exist, but they live in another plane of existence, and the fact that we don't see them, it doesn't mean they don't exist. I think this is a good example to give to atheists. So there are a lot of things, jinn and malaika and so on and so forth. And even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, we can't see Him in this world, but in akhirah, in Jannah, we'll be able to see Him. وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. You will see Allah in Jannah. Yes, brother.
Some atheists don't actually do not believe in God, but they actually believe that there's something higher. So how do somebody believe in that?
So the brother is asking that the atheists, they don't believe in God, but they believe in something higher. I don't know what is higher than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because everything in the world is pointing toward the Creator, right? Can we claim that we created this world? We can't. Because it existed before we came. This is number one. Number two, all these laws of physics, Einstein and all these guys, they get the Nobel Prize for something they discovered. They discovered a law of physics in the world. Did they create the object of the law they discovered? No. They are discovering something like gravity, the law of relativity, and so on. These things actually exist. And it has people, subhanAllah, look at the human eye. Look at the human eye. You asked him, which is more complicated? Which is more sophisticated? Your human eye or the most amazing, the most sophisticated Sony camera from Japan? They tell you that the human eye is 1,000,000 times more sophisticated than any camera that a human being has ever invented or made. Isn't this something? So it shows you that there is a Khallaqul Alim, a master creator who put everything together. You cannot deny that there is someone, a master creator who is behind everything. So to say that it doesn't exist, this creator, the sun came about by chance, the moon came about by chance, a human being came about by chance, this is exactly like saying that you are walking in the desert and subhanAllah, all of a sudden you see the particles of sand, raml, come together, and the particles of plastic come together, and they form an iPhone X. Doesn't make any sense. Or a tornado sweeping through a junkyard, and creating a Boeing 737. Doesn't make sense to anyone. But how come this sophistication in the universe, the synchronization and the diversity in the creation, did this all come by chance? Doesn't make any sense, right? So we'll take one question from here, one from there.
You have, Chief, I'm sorry about this, you have 9 minutes.
Yes, we have 9 minutes.
So choose the first 3 questions. And I will keep whatever you have more, inshallah, you have now around 10 questions.
So, yeah, there is a good question here. Yeah, I wish we never this. If someone calls you a Barakallah fiqh. Sorry, question.
Sheikh, mashallah, there are a lot of hands, which means this topic is an issue for people, and so you might be able to cover most of the questions in few sentences that you can. Yeah.
If someone calls you a terrorist, how do you behave? Number one, if you go to school, you need to talk to your teacher and the principal, because racism is not allowed, right? So this is number one. Number two, we know from history that all minority groups have been targeted and they have been attacked. The Japanese, the Chinese, the Jews. 70 years ago in Toronto, some restaurants and some hotels had this sign, no dogs, no Jews. In Toronto, right? So all minorities have to go through the same thing. We have to be united together, we have to take care of each other, but get legal assistance from your teacher or the principal, and this person will be in shock. Yes, bro?
How to make myself more passionate about attending more events in the masjid?
A good question. How can I motivate myself to attend more events in the masjid? There was a brother from Sinkat. Yes, we'll give you a candy for this one. This is the last one. Okay. He told me, if you want to succeed at something, there are 2 things you need to do. This brother, I'm going to tell you his story one day. He spent 30 years of his life with a wheelchair. He couldn't walk, he couldn't move any organ of his body, he couldn't even open his eyes. It's a long story. But this brother was very successful, one of the most successful people I've seen. He got a master's degree, he couldn't speak, but still he went to school and eventually he was able to get a master's degree in law, and he started one of the most successful law firms in Canada. He says, try to do something good every day. If you don't busy yourself with something good, if you don't busy yourself with something good, your nafs will busy you with something evil. And number 2, he said, surround yourself with good people. Where do you find the good people? Do I find them in the bar or do I find them in the dar? Right? From the bar to the dar. I remember that. I like this one. So you find the good people in the masajid. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you come to the masjid, they will help you. You will find the support system there and they will show you the right way. But if you're out there in the streets, in Edmonton we used to do a lot of janazas. Every week or 2 we get like a couple of youth, this community from this, drugs, crime, alcohol, and so on and so forth. The graveyard in Edmonton had about 500 people, 700 people. More than half of them were youth, 17 years old, 18 years old, because they didn't have the right guidance. They were running around. And what you need at this stage, especially the youth years of your life, is to have a good company. They will show you the right way. One quick example and khalas. We'll talk about this in the future, inshallah. Do you know Imam al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, he said in his tafsir of Surah Kahf, he said, do you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke positively about a dog in this surah, and he mentioned the dog 3-4 times on the same page? The dog that followed the people of Al-Kahf. So Allah honored the dog in Surah Kahf because it was in a good company. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humiliated Fir'aun and his soldiers because they were in a bad company. إِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ وَهَامَانَ وَجُنُودَهُمَا كَانُوا خَاطِئِينَ وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه سيكون 3 رابعهم كلبهم 5 سادسهم كلبهم 7 وثامنهم كلبهم. 4 times Allah honored the dog in Surah Al-Kahf because he was in a good company. Right? So a good company, you will find in the masjid, and they will help you, and it will give you the support you need. We'll talk more in detail, inshallah. We'll take some more questions. Yes,
Yeah,
bro.
no, the river with you before they
Sorry.
raise their hand. هم قالوا الأول.
What is the right approach if you would like to marry a sister? So I assume I'm getting the question from a brother. So I remember about a couple of months ago, one brother came to me in the masjid. I think he's in high school, and he wanted to get married. Okay, so he said, I'm desperate. I want to get married. The temptations and this and that. And okay, I said, did you talk to your dad? And he said yes. When I told him, it was summertime, and all I remember, my dad was running after me in the street with an axe. Okay, it's a long discussion, but Islamically, if you want to propose to someone, you should be able to support yourself and your future spouse, right? So I don't want you to stay in the house with your dad and say, no, we're gonna, get married. And I don't want to eat. I just want to get married, and I will live a miskin life. We'll just eat 1 timbit a day. We're gonna save. Come on, man. You're just dreams, right? So you need to be able to support yourself, get an education, and inshallah, Allah will give you the best wife, or the best husband, if a sister would like to get married. Once you reach this level, where you think you are ready to get married, ready, not just I think I can get married. No, when you are ready to get married, the best way to do is to go to the family from the door. Don't go from the window, right? Because some brothers, they say, I'm afraid if I propose, maybe they will say something about me. They don't like my braces. They don't like my haircut or the way I brush my teeth. They'll get out. No. Talk to the family. If they like you, alhamdulillah. But if they don't like you, there is no honor in dating a sister or talking to her behind her parents' backs. Why? Because you wouldn't allow it to your sister. I wouldn't allow it to my daughter, right? Or my sister. Why would I do it myself, right? So do things properly, inshallah, and you don't start your life with a lie. Don't start your life with a lie, right? Go straight, talk to the family, and I'm sure, inshallah, they will honor the fact that you came to them and you spoke to them and you honored them. And hopefully things will work out for you. May Allah give you tawfiq and give you the best, inshallah ta'ala.
We have one more question, one last question.
Allah, we'll take one from here.
Yeah, one last question. And the Sheikh is available. We'll have pizza so you guys can talk to him and inshallah hopefully learn more.
I'm going to conclude with this question. It's a very good question. And the brother or the sister is asking that they know a friend, and this friend has sinned. He or she, they did something terrible. It doesn't specify what kind of sin it was. One thing we know in Islam, that you love for people what you love for yourself. So what do you love for yourself? Yazid al-Qasri, one of the Sahaba, the Prophet ﷺ asked him, أَتُحِبُّ الْجَنَّةِ? Do you love Jannah? He said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. He said, فَأَحِبَّ لِأَخِيكَ مَا تُحِبُّ لِنَفْسِكَ. Love for your brother and sister what you love for yourself. So I love Jannah for myself and I love Jannah for them. This is number one. Number two, we are all sinners. We make mistakes day and night, including myself. We are not angels, right? And the door to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is wide open. Because if someone makes a mistake, they commit a sin, and they come to you and say, well, I did something terrible, what do you think? You tell them, don't come to the masjid, don't pray, don't ever come near to me. Khalas, you're finished, Jahannam wa bisal qarar, bye-bye. And I like to give people hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bring them closer. And believe me, I'm going to say this is something profound, and I want you to remember this. A sin that will put tears in your eyes and humble your heart is better in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than a good deed that will make you arrogant. Can someone repeat this for me, please? Those who are paying attention. Yes, brother.
Sin that will put tears in your eyes and humble your heart is better than a good deed that will make right.
Ahsan, jazakallah khair. Barakallah feek. We'll give you candy next time. This is one thing. We don't hate a Muslim. If you know a brother, someone in the community, or a sister, and they did something wrong, give them nasiha and advise them. Maybe one day we can talk about how the Prophet ﷺ corrected the Sahaba who made mistakes, right? So, put all your focus, this is the last thing I will say inshallah. We don't hate the sinner, we hate the sin. And say for example, if you know a brother who smokes. I don't like smoking, right? You know, there are different madhahib and different fatwas and so on and so forth. If they smoke, or they do something haram. I don't hate this brother, because at the end of the day, he or she is my brother or sister. But I hate the sin. If there's a Muslim who doesn't pray, I don't hate him or her. I have an issue with the fact that they don't pray. But I love them, and I care about them, and I like, you know, we and them to go to Jannah together. So don't offend them. Don't call them names. Don't say you're an idiot, you know, whatever. No. Give them hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and give them nasiha in the best way. And at the end of the day, hidayah is in the hands of Allah. And we could be in the same place. And if you make a mistake, you yourself would like people to correct you with respect and dignity. So you have to do the same thing to people. Jazakallah khairan, barakallah fikum. And I'll see you
this way.
Yes, jazakallah.
Jazakallah khair.